You want to be wise? You want to be smart? You've got to incline your ear. You've got to listen. You've got to learn. You've got to study. You want to be wise? You want to be smart? Your mouth should be a pleasant thing, an uplifting thing, a blessing, a spiritual touch for someone. You want to be wise? You want to be smart? You got to speak words of truth. You got to take these opportunities that God has laid before you. You've got to encourage. You've got to strengthen. Let's look at verses 22 through 25 in our text. Proverbs 22 through 25. And it reads, "Do not rob the poor because he is poor, nor oppress the afflicted at the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause and plunder the soul of those who plunder them. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul." The gate. Back in the biblical times, most big cities were surrounded by walls, because it was a very kind of barbaric time in a sense. Everybody was taking over everybody else, and every 20 or 30 years there's a new ruler who wants to conquer the earth. So they're all fighting for their lives, so they build these grand walls around their big cities. And of course there has to be gates for people to go in and out of. And because these gates were so busy and heavily trafficked, there would sit the poor, perhaps begging and needing this or that, or hungry people. It was an area, or perhaps even some mentally ill. It was an area of great need around the city gates of most cities. And it says, "Do not rob the poor because he is poor, and do not oppress the afflicted at the gates. For the Lord will plead their cause and plunder the soul of those who plunder them." The city gates was also a place, because there was so much traffic, because it was so well known, where many times there would be trials, where there would be differences of lawsuits and things like that. The city gates are a great place. But what this is talking about is, we're talking about the sayings of the wise, and it's talking about the fact that we need to be honest in our lives. We need to be honest in the words that we speak. We need to be honest in the business dealings that we do. Many times in business and in work and in situations even with family, you can manipulate certain people or situations. We all know that. I don't know how we learn that. Perhaps because people manipulate us and we learn from that behavior. But we know that this manipulation is possible. And many, many times in our lives, we even become and we start doing this manipulation without even hardly being aware of it. But if you want to be able to speak wisdom, if you want to be able to say the words of the wise, you have to be honest in your dealings with others. And what it says here in this passage of Scripture is pretty powerful. It says, "For the Lord will plead their cause and plunder the soul of those who plunder them." Now that's a pretty bold phrase. You take advantage of the weak, and God stands up for them. You take advantage of others, and God is on their side. So we're learning how to be wiser people. Be honest in your dealings with others. Verse 24 and 25 says, "Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul." I don't want no soul snares, I don't want nothing grabbing a hold of me and pulling me apart. I'll pass on that. So have you ever felt like you're the angry man? in your life? Some days I think we all kind of feel that way. It's like you wake up and things just start going wrong. And the angry man arrives, and you're driving down the road, or your food's not what it's supposed to be, and the angry man shows up. And the angry man hangs around all day, and the angry man's here and there and everywhere. It says, do not be around the angry man. Sometimes your family don't want to be around you, or your friends, or your coworkers, when you're the angry man. But what it's talking about, of course, as y'all know, is someone who just can't seem to get the anger out of their life. We all know these people who just seem to dwell and thrive in the moments of anger, in the moments of everybody's out to get me, this and that. It says that they can create a snare. You know how positive people, when they walk into a room, the atmosphere kind of picks up? There's a positivity about it. The same thing happens with anger and depression. And it can begin to pull the life out of you and suck the life out of your spirit and change who you are. We're talking about how to be wise and we have to take care and be careful of who we are in contact with a lot. We got to watch out for the angry man, because we can begin to be a little more like that. Our spirits can change. We can't do that. If you want to be wise, you want to be smart, you got to be honest in your dealings with others. You can't take advantage of people. If you want to be wise and if you want to be smart, you got to be careful for those soul snares. You got to be careful who you're with, who is influencing your life.